All right, Kyle, welcome back. I know you're kind of in unfamiliar territory right now. How does it feel coming into a fight for the first time, coming off of a loss?
I've said it in a couple different interviews, and I've wrestled my whole life and at a high level, and I wrestled at a Division I school that we wrestled the best programs in the country, and there's only been one guy to ever go undefeated, and I wasn't that guy, so I've experienced this loss before, and I don't think you learn from a lot of wins. I think you learn from most of your losses, and that's something that I feel like I needed in my career, especially early, to understand that things can always go the other way, and you can't leave it in judges' hands. And man, it's something that I've had happen before, and I've always done better after. So,
what was the biggest learning lesson that you took away from that fight?
Just don't leave things in judges' hands. I feel like in that fight, I don't like to go back to the past, but I feel like I actually won that fight. I didn't get hit very much. I hit him a couple of times more than he did. And I don't know. I just felt like if you could go back and look, I just feel like you would see that I had a little bit more output with landing shots. So, but I feel like I learned, that I didn't even use my best weapon. And I think I grew from that, but that won't happen anymore. I'll get back to who I am, and I'll put all those things together now. So
I know the result wasn't what you wanted, but it seems like a lot of fighters who get into scraps like that, they have like the time of their lives in there, and that was a pretty crazy fight. Did you at least have a good time in there?
Yeah, no, I mean when I was sitting in the hotel room after, I was like, holy shit, I didn't even shoot a shot. And for 15 minutes. And I mean, I don't even do that when I'm sparring. I just did that versus a really tough guy. I mean, he wasn't like fast or anything crazy, but I mean, you've seen it. I hit him with some big shots and he just walked through them. And I can tell you, I mean, he made me look like I don't hit hard, but I know I hit hard, so. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I feel like I got a lot better when I was done. I was almost like surprised at myself that I went out and did that. It wasn't the game plan at all, but I felt like I was touching him and not getting hit, so I just continued to do it for 3 rounds, and I felt comfortable in there, and so yeah, I mean, I learned a lot from that.
Was it almost better if the fight went that way instead of you could have gone to your wrestling and maybe got a decision win, but
yeah,
if we look at the overall story of Kyle Crutchmer, the fighter, do you feel like this will have more significance than had you gone out there and just won a decision, or
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, and I see. When you look at a wrestler and you look at their early in their careers, and a lot of guys, they don't do that. And it wasn't something that, like I said, I planned on doing, but man, I was hitting them and I wasn't getting hit. So I was like, I'm just going to continue to do this. And then my corner was like, hey, you're winning right now. He's not touching you. So just keep hitting him and getting out. Keep hitting him and getting out. He's a tough guy. So I didn't want to stay in there and throw a bunch of combinations and let him hit me with some bullshit. So. But yeah, man, I feel like it helped me out a lot. I feel like I've learned a lot from that fight, and that guy's very tough. He's on the Tough Show now, obviously. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, man. I got a lot better from it.
Now you're getting Levan Chokheli, which is a really interesting matchup because not a lot of people really know who he is, but he's really good. He's unbeaten, a lot of first-round finishes. Did you know much about him when this fight was presented to you?
Yeah, I mean, we did our research. I mean, 7 of his 9 wins are 0-0. So it's hard to really judge him, I feel like, In his last fight, he fought a wrestler and was taken down a couple of times. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, man, there's just not a lot about this guy. I know people are saying that, he's tough and this and that, but I mean, he's only fought 12 rounds in 9 fights. So it's kind of like, how good is he? Because his competition hasn't been that great. He hasn't fought anybody like me who's just going to let him hit me and just fall on the ground and be over. So, I mean, he's going to have to come in there and fight me. And it's going to be hard on him. And I'm going to make it as hard as I can. So
you feel like you're the more experienced fighter. He's got an unbeaten record, but you feel like overall, not just for the amount of fights, not just because of the wrestling experience, just like the minutes you've logged in there, you're the more experienced fighter.
Yeah, I would say that I wouldn't say I'm the more experienced. I feel like I'm more well-rounded. Majority of the time when you have someone like me versus someone like him, the guy like me normally wins that fight. you see a guy who he's a striker, you know, and I don't think he wrestles, you know, from his last fight. It doesn't look like he ever really wrestles. His grappling's not great, you know, it's there's nothing really to it. There's no real submission attempts or anything like that. So, you know, it's a striker versus wrestler matchup. It's a grappler versus striker, and you know, he's long, and you know, he's 9-0, so I'm not going to discredit him or anything, and I respect the guy, but you know, I just feel like I'm more well-rounded.
Oklahoma State is taking over, AKA, man. You got Nick Piccinini, who's getting ready to make his debut, I believe.
Next week, yep.
Jacoby Smith's there.
Yep.
Of course, DC's there.
Yep.
How refreshing has that been for you? You're just surrounded by Oklahoma State alum.
Yeah, it's you know, wrestling at Oklahoma State was a blessing. You know, you learn so much from Coach Smith and the coaches there, and even, you know, your teammates. Everyone's there is trying to become, you know, an Olympian or world champ or national champ. So you're just surrounded by guys that just have high expectations for themselves, and that rubs off on you. And yeah, I mean, it's been a blessing, man. You know, I have DC just called me before I came in here, so I have very good teammates, very good friends, and you know, the fact that we all know each other from, you know, what we experience in college it helps.
Was it just like a check-in call, or is he giving you some wisdom ahead of Friday?
Well, he calls me. He kind of calls me quite a bit during fight week. He gets really nervous. Actually, he gets more nervous than you know, I think I do. But yeah, he called me just to check on me right there. But he normally FaceTimes me right before I go out and fight. And yeah, I mean, you got a big brother like that who's seen it and done it, and you know, he's been the underdog a couple times and things like that, and he's had a hell of a career, and you know, so. It's been cool.
Guys like him and Khabib and Islam Makhachev, just like,
yeah,
you know, as great of a wrestler as you were, to be able to sort of tap into that other side, like the MMA mentality of wrestling. Like how much of an influence has that been on you? How pivotal has that been for Kyle Crutchmer, the MMA fighter?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you got Khabib and Islam and DC, and they've made their wrestling work in the MMA world. You know, a lot of wrestlers, you know, not a lot, but a couple wrestlers that I've known, they go into MMA and they're like, oh my God, I can't figure out how to take this dude down, but have really good wrestling. So, yeah, I think it goes hand in hand. You know, those guys from Dagestan came over and they learned American wrestling too as well. So I think once you have that mix, you know, they do a little bit different wrestling, but, you know, they don't touch their knee a lot, and we've showed them how to touch their knee and things like that, and they've showed us things on the cage and on the ground, and I think it just goes hand in hand. I think once you can figure those two out and put them together, that's a very dangerous combination, as you can see.
Can't forget about Duran Win too, obviously.
No, yeah, Duran is the man. He fights July 17th.
That's right. So how do we get this thing done? How do we get back on track and make a big statement here?
You know, I just think I got to make it hard on this guy. You know, he has all these first round knockouts, and you know, obviously he hits hard, but I mean, like I said, he hasn't fought anybody really yet. You know, and I just feel like with me, he's going to have his hands full a little bit here and there. I mean, he's understands the game. I'm sure, you know, 9-0. You have to know what you're doing. But for me, I just got to make it hard on him. I got to make it 15 minutes of hell, and that's what I'm prepared to do. My training camp was prepared like that, and that's what I'm going to do.